cheers to all the singles out there still waiting for their divine counterparts to show up in the outer mirror reflection of reality as an actual person. Let's go, girls. But no, I sound serious, and baby I am. I'm in fact only interested if I can have you for life. So the question about this video goes something like this. How the heaven did Captain America save my big unforgettable ass? Well, first of all, to save someone you need to break them first pretty bad into pieces until they reach that rock bottom moment in their life. You know, that moment when a normal psychiatrist in a normal psychiatrist clinic asks you this normal day-to-day question like, do you believe you're in hell? And you're just sitting there gazing into his beautiful green-blue eyes and answering, yes, that's it, I'm in hell. Why did I not realize this myself? And then he just looks at you with total astonishment about your honesty and asks again, why do you stand by this? And you're like, because it totally feels that way. This endless pain, this inner suffering, this negative thought patterns, these dark visions, constant life-ending thoughts, these painful inner relapses from the past, all of this, it cannot be the truth. At that stage on my journey, I honestly just deeply felt that Kylo Ren quote, like, I want to be free of this pain, where's my Rey who's coming to save me? So what do you do at that stage when you tried everything to change that sad and painful state of being of yours, but nothing and nobody could actually help you do so? Well, that question was the one I asked myself after this enlightening session with the sexy psychiatrist. But there was still one guy left I haven't asked for yet. You know, the one which is still called God? I know what you're now wondering. How did she manage to get out of this and there? Of course, the doctors also wanted to prescribe me a pill. You know, that red glowing magic pill, like in the Matrix, that solves all your problems and heals the root cause of it, instead of just fooling your mind with those addictive drug chemicals into thinking that everything is okay. Apart from these horrible side effects that no one ever mentions. Yeah, that wasn't for me, so I just said no. I could not grasp the possibility that a single pill could have more power over my mind than I could. You know, the eye of Ra, the light or consciousness within that actually operates the system. I'm not judging you, I'm just saying that all these medications which should actually heal the psychological imbalance within the mind, so many of us are struggling with do and cannot address the root cause of the problem, and they wouldn't help to solve it in the long run. Only the light of awareness has this power. There's something else I want to share with you which I learned during this time. The same psychiatrist also explained me this, that my mind was trapped in a hell loop cycle of recurrent pain by choosing the same pathways of pain, suffering, fear, panic, stress, self-hatred and self-loathing over and over again, creating the same feelings and the same outcome for me. Yup, that truth bomb there hit hard, but at some point in our lives, we need to point the sword of truth at ourselves and find the courage to face it. Still ask myself, why would my mind do something so stupid by recreating an endless suffering cycle? So that was basically the sub-story from the original love story, just so you know what was going on with me at that time and how much I was in trouble. Now let's move on to the fun part, where the hero king steps in to come save his princess queen to be. After this wonderful stay in a clinic, my life had to move on somehow. I didn't know the problem, had no idea how to solve it though, and was still in incessant torture by the voice in my head. But I had a question that was guiding me, and I had a goal. Still, I needed to find a way to get out of that depressed mode I was constantly trapped in. So I occupied myself with things that I deeply love, such as watching movies, and since I had a whole bedside drawer full of DVDs, I just watched them all. There's one movie in particular who's one of my favorites, and trust me, I could watch that one over and over again and still felt the magic within it. Of course, I'm talking about Captain America, the first Avenger, although I thought God is the first Avenger of them all. I could identify with that character so much for reasons like his willingness to do the right thing by listening to his heart, even when everyone else tells him he's making a mistake. Truth told, I never was interested in who the very attractive man behind that character was. Until that day, you know, that day, that divinely orchestrated day that changes everything in your life in a blink of an eye. Yup, that day came Even after sworn to myself to renounce the world of man forever, after dating all these frogs, not one of them had turned into that prince that matched my childhood Disney dream of experiencing that true love story. You know, that romantic moment when you look deeply into the eyes of another and you see yourself looking back at you. But when this cute puppy soul with the body of a Greek god hottie came around, my heart felt pretty hard in love, like never before. So I started playing social media spy stalker for a little while and watched all the contents I could find about him. For months, I hadn't felt any true joy, and he just made me laugh and happy with his wonderful soul and pure heart. Within a single day, he awakened in me the light of hope for a new life, the hope for believing in the good in people again, and the hope for a true love partnership. I was absolutely enchanted by his personality, his openness, his honesty, his integrity, and his friendly sense of humor, and he was so full of love. His presence and kind nature reminded me of who I was a long time ago, before the world broke me and shattered my heart into pieces. Another funny moment later, I watched another video of Chris where, for the first time in my life, another human being was talking about the same problems I faced at that time. That very noisy brain that never wants to just be still, and the inner battle he was waging against himself. There's this great quote from the great movie called Legends of the Fall, and it goes like this. Some people hear their own inner voices with great clearness, and they live by what they hear. Such people become crazy, or they become legends. Well, thank God I haven't listened to those negative life-ending thoughts that made me believe I was a loser. I would not get a chance to become an unforgettable legend as well, right? God, for the first time in my life, I realized I wasn't the only one with that problem and such a loud and crazy mind. So on that day, I learned this very important piece of advice from Chris. Well, it's more like a gesture of advice. The power of shh. Like those angel statues in churches are doing everywhere by holding their finger in front of their mouth and telling you to just shut up for a couple moments a day, also called meditation. The question that remained was actually, how can I silence my mind and change those negative thought patterns? And again, God was giving me the answer through another coincidence, including that cute celebrity guy with the tattoo quote above his sacred golden heart that goes like, when you lose touch with your inner stillness, you lose touch with yourself. When you lose touch with yourself, you lose yourself in the world. Boom, there it goes again. And I had no idea what it meant. I mean, how can I lose my body in the world? It's not like I can make myself invisible, although that would be a cool superpower. And then it got real mystical. By coincidence, I lost another job. That coincidentally enabled me to visit a free English course, where I coincidentally connected with a new friend. She coincidentally gifted me a yellow book that coincidentally was chilling in my bookshelf for a couple years until that day I coincidentally realized that the book she gifted me was the book that tattoo quote from that hottie came from. And guess whose name was coincidentally printed on the backside with the quote, another worldly genius. And I was like, oh, I know, but there are still people out there who don't believe in God's random power, which Einstein describes as being God's way of staying anonymous, when it felt more and more like a self-revelation to me. And so that book is called The Power of Now, which is the remedy to all our problems. Because if you can stay in the now, your past can no longer defy or project itself into your future, because it's gone. That's why the wise ninja turtle master told me that the present is a gift. Whew, now I need a break. But guess what, strangers? It goes on and on and on and on. After reading my new Bible, that yellow book called The Power of Now, everything changed. And I asked myself, if I'm not these thoughts I hear, then who am I? This quote, I think, therefore I am. Well, I'm more like I am, and therefore I only think if necessary. And just after asking this question, Chris, posted another book page. The book called Siddhartha, and the message, he was romantically marked with 2 blue hearts, was, it's only your aversion that hurts, nothing else. Boom, there he goes again. And just to say, I was a pro at that time with resisting love because I was so afraid of getting hurt again. So my immense pride was causing me pain because I was fighting with the present moment, with life itself. by wanting to have another experience than the one I got at that time. And so I needed to learn to trust again, with the knowing that all that happens for my greatest good, even if we cannot see it in the specific situations that are very painful to experience. To protect you from making the same mistakes as I did, here's what I learned. We cannot hate our past and our past experiences, even if they were very painful and cost us a lot of tears. And the same goes for our mistakes, they're okay too. They belong to us, they have shaped us into the person we are today, and so accepting and loving yourself fully means having the courage to forgive yourself and others for all that happened, and it also means choosing a better way of behaving for the future. 2 other book pages Chris posted a bit later had the following message. Those who pursue a specific goal often overlook the important things that lies directly in front of them. And the second, the most important thing is to love the world and all beings in it. Love is the only true thing. And after reading them, I felt like Elsa from Frozen playing the Fifth Element and singing her song. You are the one you've been waiting for all of your life. As the Jedi Master Jedi has already taught us, surrender is the path to the light side of the Force. Surrender leads to trust. Trust leads to devotion, and devotion leads to unconditional love. Chris once wrote me this. Trust is the easiest thing to lose in this world and the hardest thing to get back. It is built on integrity, and it is the glue that keeps all loving relationships together. And integrity is the aligned communion between your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, which creates your personal reality. There was another funny moment where God played me again while I was waiting for my family in the store, still inside asking God where my dream man stays. You know, the one I've been dreaming, thinking, contemplating, manifesting about since I was that little girl, sitting in front of a TV, watching those Disney movies and affirming within, I want a king just like that, one that helps me defeat the dragon, one who comes and wakes me up from my nightmare, one who's brave enough to marry me, one who's tough enough to handle and love the beast and the beauty within me, one who wants to start a family with me, and one who wants to live that happily ever after dream forever as my hero for life. You know, that kind of love where you're like, honey, I love you to infinity and beyond. And after I landed in reality again, I got up, looked down the stairs where just one of those many basketballs chilling around had the Captain America shield on it. In my mind, I of course dismissed it. It's just another coincidence, and said to God while I turned around again, which I honestly said to him as well before I accidentally ghosted him, and I'm still very sorry for. I only believe you and all of this if you're standing in front of me. And God was like, dude, what the spirit do I need to do that you learn to trust me again? The whole point of faith, honey, is believing it before you can see it. And just like that, a black shirt wearing guy coincidentally crossed my path again with a Captain America action figure on his chest. And then I finally was silently in awe for a couple moments. Remember also that funny Christmas movie Red One a while ago, where the America's Ass guy runs back into the toy store and asks the saleswoman, hey, you don't have a Wonder Woman action figure, do you? And the Big Rock answers, come on, that's not how this works. And you as a silent watcher in the cinema seat, meanwhile accidentally swallowing a big popcorn, and are asking yourself, Holy Spirit, are you blessing me? Looking down on my right arm at my Wonder Woman tattoo. Still got the joke with the action figure. That's why I started this channel in my loving intention to bring some magic, light, fun and hope towards you guys, and honestly, I have no other idea what to do with my life at that stage. So I decided to just have some fun after all and play a little bit. By the way, that guy who once asked me who I am, which I answer with, I don't know, now I would tell him, depends on who's asking the question. What if the one asking the question and the one answering it are one and the same? And today, a bit of unnecessary suffering and an ocean of tears later, I get the joke, I really do, that I'm the one I have been seeking for the whole time. And I just needed a really cute three-dimensional mirror reflection of my true self to become and be that which I forgot to be, and which in its essence would be called love. So now you know a little bit more about this crazy Wonder Woman who's madly in love with the hero who saved her and released her from the darkness she was trapped in. And like you said before, love is the truth, we are love. And to show love, you need to become an action figure and embody it yourself. So big shout out to my North Star Chris, who was guiding me home towards my own. In love, devotion, and gratitude, your twin flame Wonder Woman, aka Nina. Thanks guys for listening.